No. Hello, YouTubers. Time for this decade's first video. And since I made a video of the last purchases of the teens, I want to show you a little video, or make this video about the first purchases of the 20s. I went on a trip to Uppsala a couple of days ago and bought some records. One of them I was extremely happy to find because I've been looking for it for quite a while. And also at the end of this video I will say a couple of words about two musical giants that has left us that I admire a lot. So, but let's start with my findings in Uppsala. First of all, we have a record with Italian singer Marie Laforêt, Cantante dagli Occidoro. I beg your pardon for my horrible Italian. This is on the festival label. I am not sure whether it is an original. It might be an original from 1964, but that had a green color here. This is more of a brown. I think this is a reissue, but I can't really date it, and Discog's not that helpful either. Anyway, it's great 60s Schlager pop with from Italy. As you might know, I'm quite interested in 60s pop from other countries than just US and UK. Okay, over to early 80s classics that I haven't had on record before, but I thought I found it now, and it was great condition and it was cheap, so I thought why not? And it's fairly good. Joan Jett, The Black Hearts, I Love Rock and Roll. This is a Norwegian pressing of the Smash Records label. You can't find it on Discogs, only the cassette version of this. And I'm talking about this Norwegian pressing. Do you say pressing when it comes to cassettes, though? I've always thought, is that really the correct word to use? Because you don't really press cassettes, do you? Yeah. Okay. Moving on. An album by The Byrds that I didn't have before. Well, I had a CD version of it, but not on vinyl, so I filled a gap there, and it's the notorious Byrd Brothers from, I think, from 1968. This came out after the Sweethearts of the Rodeo album, unless I'm totally mistaken. The Byrds' discography confused me a bit, though, sometimes. This is an American pressing. It's not an original. It's from, I think it's from 1971, because it has that 70s Columbia label. It's very nice, although I don't think it's one of their best albums, really. But it fills a gap. Okay, oh no, I'm not going to show that yet, because that's the best one. I'm going to show that at the end. Okay, I am very fond of Atlantic albums from the 60s. American ones, of course, with soul, the Atlantic soul of the 60s. And to be quite honest, it is fairly easy to get hold of for not that much money here. I mean, it's as if it's been more sought after some years ago. It's as if it has faded a bit, because you can actually find them quite cheap, and I found this one very cheap, or very cheap. I think maybe paid 10 to 15 pounds for it. And it's Wilson Pickett, The Midnight Mover. Discogs claims it's from 1968, but it says here, printed on the back sleeve, that it's from 1966, so I'm not really sure. It's very nice, good condition, and it has the blue and green label, as you can see. That is very nice. And of course, Wilson Pickett, I'm very fond of the soul music that he represents. And so that was a nice find, also quite cheap in my book. All right, and over to another record that I've been looking for a while, because I first heard of it I think it was in the late 80s when I first heard about this singer, and I saw her perform. I think it was on Saturday Night Live with one of the songs from this album. Talking about the country rock pop star Linda Ronstadt and the album Canciones de mi Padre from 1987. I think I've read that this is probably the best-selling, in America, it's the best-selling non-English album, or album that is with lyrics that isn't in English, and that's very nice. I don't see it here that often though, but now I managed to see it and I got it. I'm a great fan of Linda Ronstadt, and it's a little bit weird that I haven't found this album before, because I've heard about it many times. I knew about it. But now I got it, and it's really great. Where she sings, I like traditional songs with Spanish lyrics. Okay, over to another now we have Italian, we had Spanish, we had English, and now let's have some French. And it is a compilation album with the lovely Yeye girl, François Hardy. This is a compilation album, as I said, on Disc Vogue, label Le Palmares, or Le Palmare. Sorry, it sounds horrible, I know, but it's a great album. She's a great singer, and with very lovely arrangements. Especially, which song was it again? Le premier bonheur du jour, l'amour s'en va. Oh yeah, Jonathan plus personne. It's an Italian song, Non aspetto nessuno, with French lyrics. Very, very good. And as I said, it's a compilation album from '65, in great condition too. When I go to Uppsala, I often make it as a habit, I think, to buy a record from the local record label, because this record store that I usually go to, Open Minds, they also have a small record label that issues vinyl records with local stars. And this time I just bought one. I have no idea what it was, but I thought it looked funny. It's a band called Laser, and this album is called Futurister i Tillvaro. And I can show you the back sleeve too. This has lyrics in Swedish. Oh, I can show you the vinyl too, because it's quite pretty orange vinyl. But what is this? Well, it's synthesizer-based pop with a lot of 80s vibes and lyrics that are quite funny, quite interesting, and it's very melodic. It's very easy to like this kind of music, even though I'm not really a fan of the synthesizer. Yeah. Oh yeah, and they talked about, what are you going to do when the aliens come with their laser guns? Well, either you dance or you'll get turned into space dust. Yeah, so you better dance when the aliens come with their laser guns. It's a fun album. I like it. I didn't know what that was, but I just thought bought it because I thought it looked interesting. I thought sometimes when you make these kind of random choices, you realize, okay, this wasn't for me, but this was actually for me. Okay, over to the record that I was happiest to find. And sometimes I wonder if, well, maybe there's some sort of subconscious idea here. Because last year I've been looking a lot for the albums of the American group Fanny, who made 4 or 5 albums in the early 70s. Only found one, Mother's Finest, and that's not one of their better albums from what I've heard. But one of the albums that I really wanted was Fanny Hill. And I had an idea when I go to Uppsala. Maybe they have some album with Fanny here. I could tell you that they are very difficult to find because they weren't that. I mean, they didn't sell that many albums, and I don't think that their albums really were issued here in Sweden before. So we talk about imports, we talk about cutouts, and that's exactly what I found. Fanny Hill. We have a little cutout, but it was still in shrink, so it was still with plastic around, unopened, so unplayed. So I can live with a cutout, and the album is great. They are so talented, and here you can the face detection recognize their faces, but not hers. That's a bit weird. Oh, now it very happy to find this by the very talented Millington sisters and Nicky Hopkins and Alice de Burr, if that's how you pronounce the name. And now this is the 3rd album. I still want to have their 1st and their 2nd, but we're getting there. This was great finding, and it was fairly cheap. Let's say I would have been prepared to pay the double of what I paid. Yeah, that's that. Okay, over to a couple of words about 2 stars that has fallen. And first of all, I'm sure many of you have heard about the sad news that the former member of the Bonzo Dog Doodah band, the Bonzo Dog band, of the Ruttles, his band played on the Magical Mystery Tour, and he did the Rutland Weekend. No, what's it called? Something Rutland show together with Eric Idle. Co-worked with them. He was in the Monty Python's The Holy Grail. Of course. I'm talking about Neil Innes, who passed away. I've been a great fan of Monty Python for over 30 years, and I've been a great fan of the Beatles for over 30 years, and Neil Innes is this guy that overlaps both groups and ties them together. And I have here his solo album, How Sweet to Be an Idiot. An album that I looked for many years before I actually found it. And it's a great album, both musically and for the humorous lyrics and the humorous musical ideas. And he was such a talented songwriter that he could make the perfect Beatles pastiches when he did the songs for the Ruttles, and they were so good that many years later he even had problems getting royalties for them, because they said, no, this is Lennon McCartney songs, you can't have any money. But they were his songs. He just put them in a Beatles suit, these songs. So if you get hold of this, it's a bit tricky to get hold of. Try to find it. It's really great. All the Bonzo Dog Band's albums are worth having. And of course, the Ruttles album. If you're both into comedy and into great 60s Beatles sounding music. So rest in peace, Neil Innes. I was a great fan of yours. And another legend, and I'm a bit angry here because on Swedish media, who, well, I'm not surprised, because Swedish entertainment media, they don't know anything, it seems. Probably the most legendary Swedish rock guitar player, apart from the 70s and 80s star Janne Schaffer. I'm talking about the Sputnik's founder, leader, and sound magician, Bo Wienberg. He passed away 2 days ago, and he started well, he started, I mean, the whole sound. He built his own guitar sound because he had to build his own guitar amplifiers because you couldn't buy guitar amplifiers in Gothenburg, so he had to build them himself. Imagine that. There aren't any guitar amplifiers. So, and he formed the group Spotniks that he played with from, I think, from 1960 up until last year, when he finally said, no, I have to stop now because I can't play the songs the right way any longer. And that's so sad when you actually feel, no, I can't do it anymore, the thing you've been doing your whole life. My thought then was, okay, what will a great musician do when he can't play music anymore? And I don't know, but less than a year later, he is gone. So rest in peace, Bosse Winberg. This is my whole collection of Spotnik's albums, and it's far from complete, but I cherish these. One of my first favorite records as a kid was their single Last Date. I think it's from 1964. That is a guitar classic, but I even liked the flip side of that single, Le Dernier Train de la Space, of the last space train or whatever. Loved it and still loves it. So, with those words, rest in peace, Bo Winberg. Thank you for everything, and shame on you, Swedish media, for not even lifting an eyebrow about this sad fact. And by that, thank you for watching this first video of this new year and new decade. Let's hope this will be another decade filled with great music and great vinyl. Bye for now.